Hey, what's happening y'all? Balrogx here, and I gotta tell you that it's been great after this latest patch, since a big number of the sorceries, weapon skills, and incantation had been buffed. I gave it a try to do a pure Lightning Dexterity Faith build, and it's so powerful. It has so much versatility that it's no wonder it can be one of the most strong of builds right now. You can one-shot mobs from a distance like a sniper, AoE attacks, even high damage on melee combat, and lightning strike for bigger bosses that will burn through their HP. It seems like to have everything, right? So I will guide you how you can set up this build and how to play it properly so you can be a lightning Elden god. So let's jump right in. So if you remember this guy, and what about this guy? Then you're really young like me, right? But seriously, I wanted to do a character like that to be a lightning god. I'll let you know what armor I use to make it look like that. But before I show you the build, I want to thank you guys for how my last video was received. Although I got a small channel, but it's a pretty good feeling and it's a driver for me to keep committed and working on giving more to this community. So thanks a bunch, guys. So this build has great versatility and a repertoire of attacks for every situation using the Bolt of Grandsack spear. For single fights, you want to use the weapon skill, the Bolt of Grandsack, called Ancient Lightning Spear, that will destroy your target from far. This skill has been buffed on this patch, decreasing the FP cost and increasing the casting speed, also allowing players to easily withstand enemy attacks while casting. For a more FP cost effective, you can use the Lightning Spear incantation that still do great damage if charged and can be used to finish enemies off. And also you can use it while riding the horse. For group fights, you will use the incantation called Lanciax Glaive, casting a big arc of lightning, although it's a shortened range, but it's very powerful. Also buffed in this patch, decreasing the FP cost and stamina cost, increasing the cast speed, and decreasing the recovery time as well, so you can withstand enemy attacks while casting. For fight at a distance, you can use the Lightning Spear incantation, single shot or charge. For fight on a longer distance, again use the Ancient Lightning Spear, the skill of Bolt of Grandsack that will hit like a sniper doing massive damage. For boss fights, you want to mix it up a little bit, doing long range to mid range attack, but the skill you want to use to really burn their health is the Ancient Dragon Lightning Strike. If the boss is pretty large, which the majority in this game are, it will connect several times, dealing great damage, making boss fights pretty fast and less painful. This incantation also got buffed on this patch by decreasing the recovery time when you finish casting, because it's a slow cast incantation that you have to time really well to avoid damage mid-casting, so keep that in mind. And last, for fights at very close range, you can change your spear to any weapon. In this case, I'm using the Uchigatana, that is easy to obtain early on in the game, and using the Bloodhound Step as a ward to get out of harm's way very quickly, getting some distance again between you and the enemy or the boss, if that's the case, and be able to cast that lightning spell. Also, taking a few swings with the weapon of the Uchigatana is viable too, since this weapon does great damage up close. So as you see, guys, pretty versatile build with attacks for every situation. It's not just sitting there and spamming a weapon skill, so it can be more fun to play. The main weapon, like I said before, is the legendary armament Bolt of Grandsack, which has a low FP cost on his skill Ancient Lightning Spear, and has additional lightning damage. It's scaled with strength and more with dexterity. This weapon can be found in Leyndell, the royal capital, after beating Godfrey, first Elden Lord. It's located on top of the giant spear that uses a similar model than the weapon. The next weapon is the Uchigatana, infused with Bloodhound Step as a ward with lightning affinity. The reason of the weapon is that it's a great damage dealer, and it can be infused with the Ashes War, and it's easy to get early on the game if you do not play with the Samurai class. You can get this weapon in the Death Touched catacombs in the north part of Limgrave. As a seal, I'm using the Gravel Stone Seal that boosts Dragon Cult Incantations, and it's pretty much all lightning incantations. That means that all the incantation that this build has will get boosted by this seal. Scaling very well with Faith, being one of the primary attributes that this build has. It drops from a Spear Knight in Lanedale Capital near the area that looks like the Round Table Hold and has a dragon foot outside. The armor used on this build is just for fashion to make it similar to this guy or this guy, remember? So the helm that I'm using is Iron Kaza from the Ronin set. If you kill the NPC Shabriri. On the chest, I'm using Preceptor's Long Gown, which you can collect on Saluvi's body in Saluvi's Rise after reaching the end of Rani's questline, and the Fingerprint Gauntlets and Greaves from the Fingerprint set, located at Lord Contender's Evergoal in Mountaintops of the Giants. For the talisman, I'm using everything that increases the lightning damage and incantations. The first one is Lightning Scorpion Charm that increases lightning damage by 12%. Stacks with the Lightning Shrouding Cractier on the Physics Flask. Second one is Flock's Canvas Talisman that increases potency of incantations by 8%. And it stacks multiplicatively with Scorpion Charm and the Shrouded Tear on the Physics Flask. I'll show you that in a moment. A talisman increase directly lightning damage of the incantations. Now, the next two will increase power of the weapon skill as well, especially the Ancient Lightning Spear. That's a skill from the Bolt of Grandsax, our main weapon. So the next talisman is Godfrey Icon that enhances charge spell and skills. That will increase damage by 15% of the Ancient Lightning Spear skill, and also the Ancient Dragon Lightning Strike. And lastly, the Shard of Alexander that increases attack power of skills by 15%, especially the Ancient Lightning Spear. With those four talismans, we are making the lightning incantation and weapon skill into huge damage dealers. For the flasks, you want to use more FP than HP since you're using incantations and skills a lot. The Physic Flask will have the Lightning Shrouding Cractier to increase lightning attacks by 20% by 3 minutes. Is dropped by killing their 3 avatar in the northeastern Liurna of the Lakes. And also we'll have the Cerulean Hidden Tier that will make your incantation cost 0 FP for 7 seconds. It's normally 15 seconds before this patch. It was reduced unintentionally and they will fix it in a future hotfix. So they say. If you don't like this one, you can use the Opaline Bubble Tier to negate incoming damage like in a bubble. So it really depends on your playstyle. Now let's see what incantations I use and the buff order to make the most out of the lightning damage on this build. Remember that all of the offensive incantations were buffed in this latest patch. Our first one is Lightning Spear that throws a fast or charge lightning bolt for mid-range to long-range fights. It's a cheap FP cost of 18. To get it, you first have to get the Dragon Cult Prayer Book dropped by Lanedale Knight, patrolling south of Artist Shack in Liurna of the Lake. You can use this cheap incantation while riding the horse as well, dispatching enemies at a distance. It's really convenient. Our second incantation is Lanciax Glaive. That's your short range AoE damage incantation. It's a mid FP cost of 28, but has a heavy faith requirement of 40. It's dropped by the Ancient Dragon Lanciax in Altus Plateau, so you will use this when you are at the mid game. The next incantation is Ancient Dragon Lightning Strike. That's the incantation to burn bosses or heavy enemies. The FP cost is 36 and has a slow casting time, so you want to time it right to avoid damage. You can get this by giving the Ancient Dragon Prayer Book to Brother Koring or the Big Turtle Muriel as the Passer of Vows. Now let's see the buff incantations. A Golden Vow that will give 15% damage increase and 10% damage reduction in PvE and last 80 seconds. Second buff is the Howl of Shabriri that has a huge flat damage increase by 25%, but also increases damage received by 30%, and it only lasts 20 seconds. So you want to use it after Golden Vow and use it as an opener to a fight. So guys, remember this is a late game to end game build, mainly because of the weapon that it uses, but it can easily be used on mid game using the Uchigatana as your main weapon and having another set of lightning incantations that can work while you get all the rest. Remember that the main attribute of this build is dexterity, then faith, vigor, and mind. At level 50, you want to have 30 dexterity to get past the first soft cap, 20 or more faith, 20 vigor, and 15 mind. At level 100, you want to have 50 dexterity to get almost to the second soft cap, faith almost 40, vigor around 30, and mind around 20. And at level 150, you want to have dexterity at 80, that's the third soft cap, faith at 50, vigor around 35, and mind around 25. And for levels more than 150, you want to get more on faith, passing the second soft cap, or get more vigor or mind if you need to go play PvP, or you want more FP to cast more incantations. So guys, in my opinion, the versatility of this build makes it a very great option for any kind of fight in Elden Ring. With great damage overall at a long distance, AoE, and burning bosses. The Mold of Grandsack skill to me is greatly OP, and with the buff in the new patches even more. The only downsides that I see of this build is that it can be a little squishy at times, but it balances out with the dominance of the damage that it puts out. If you like to be a lightning Elden god in Elden Ring, this is the build for you. So guys, if you find this build helpful, please slap that like button to help me out and have YouTube share this video with more people. Thank you so much for watching, and if you have any questions or tips that you want to share, please do so on the comments down below. So as always, take care, be safe, and see you on the next one. Ciao!